We greet you tonight at Lakota East High School as they play against one of the hardest teams in the Greater Catholic League, known as St. Xavier. For Lakota East's lineup, we have Riley Cooper, Baden Schmidt-Gosling, Carson Burling, Kendrick McCune, Jude Callahan, Tyler Blunk, Austin Dreyer, Nathan Timmy, Arpon Subedi, Jack Doyle, Drew Reisner, and Connor Rexroad. For St. X, we have Ben Adkins, Michael Fortman, Gunnar Peterson, Ben Ferris, Luke Source, Sam Suppinger, Matthew Erbel, Jacob Cruiser, Trey Burns, Leo Miller, Reese Hossfield, Henry Kane, Joe Taggart, Will Payton, and Liam McCarthy. About our Thunderhawks for tonight. As of today, Austin Dreyer is number 1 for kills, Kendrick McCune is number 1 for aces and 4 for kills, Drew Callahan is number 3 for aces and number 1 for assists. Carson Burling is number 1 for digs, Drew Reisner is number 3 for blocks, and Nathan Timmy is number 1 for blocks. About St. X, Joe Taggart is number 1 for kills and aces, Luke Source is number 3 for aces, Henry Kane is number 4 for blocks, Leo Miller is number 3 for assists, Will Payton is number 4 for assists, and Luke Source is number 3 for digs. Coaches for Lakota East, head coach Bryant Coleman, assistant coach Karen Hess, and assistant coach Michael Lefevers. For St. X, their head coaches are William Ferris and Bill Ferris. Their assistant coaches are Stacy Mohring and Matt Chardine. This will be a really good matchup for tonight, as both teams are probably the best in GMC and GCL. The record for Lakota East Thunderhawks is 18-2, while St. X is 12-6. This is one of our last games of the season, so this matters to Lakota East right now. This is probably one of the best records Lakota East has ever performed ever, only losing in about 2 games. And those 2 games were against Elder and Moeller. Elder and Moeller are known in the GCL for being one of the best teams. They are known for the best teams in the GCL. St. X also follows up with them. And this will be a really tough battle, as both teams can possibly just go back and forth all the time. Preview from the JV and St. X won. St. X won in the 3rd set when it was 3-2. Our JV team pulled it out really hard. And now let's see if our varsity team can also pull through and are able to win against the St. X Bombers.
It's worth noting, Alex, that our libero, Carson Burling, has experience 2 years ago in a scrimmage against St. X when St. X went on to win the 2024 state title.
This will be a really tough match that any of these 2 teams can win. And I think it's up for grabs right now. It is definitely up for grabs. Their libero for tonight is number 5, Luke Source. Lakota East libero for tonight is number 3, Carson Burling. Carson Burling is also known, as we said, one of the only players for Lakota East that is committed to a college. Carson Burling will be going to Mount St. Joe University, one of the best colleges in Ohio right now, and we all hope for the best for our favorite senior on this Lakota East boys volleyball team. Right now, St. X's crowd is having a blast, even being the away team. Lakota East, their crowd needs to try to match this at this point. And we will start eventually. Lakota East has a chance of being 20-2 right now if they beat St. X and Walnut Hills. Walnut Hills will be taking place on May 4th at the Lakota East main gym. We also will see a bunch of special guests arrive, such as Lakota East Side Voice will be making an appearance there, and allegedly their bands will also make it. So this will be probably one of the best games. For these last 2 games will be one of the best series ever for Lakota East. this boys volleyball team has been excellent this year. As all these lineups that we keep seeing out here, they're probably one of the best lineups we've ever have seen before. Even with some of them being new as freshmen and sophomores, and some of them being old as juniors and seniors. And we will get started.
Up first serving will be number 9, Nathan Timmy. Float. It's a good pass. The one to the middle and out. That was a block by Drew Reisner. Point for East.
That was an almost right there. That was almost by number 13, Henry Kane. All these players we want to mention are really tall, in fact, as one of their players, I believe to be number 9, Trey Burns, is a 6'9" competitor.
It's a good back row attack, and that was out. Point for East.
Lakota East is now up by 2 points. This is probably new. This team, to mention as well, both these teams are their division champions right now. Lakota East has been winning division champion for almost about 5 years, and St. X for 3.
And the first point for St. X, that was off of number 9, Nathan Timmy. Subbing in will be number 3, our libero, Carson Burling. Be a jumper. And out. Point for East.
That was a well-mannered and definitely effort play by number 12, Reese Hosfield out there for St. Xavier.
Hard float. It's off to the right side. And that was off of Jude Callahan. Point for St. X.
By the looks of that, looks like it was between number 13 and 4 from St. X, Ben Ferris, and number 13, Henry Kane. As they shot the ball right into Lakota East's field, and Jude Callahan accidentally mistaken it, and it went out.
Float. Good pass by Burling. Tipped by Dreyer. Back row attack. Looks like this will be a free ball.
Oh, and it looks like right there it bounced off one of the vents up there from Burling. That was an amazing attempt right there. And it looks like St. X won the ball. The game is now tied 3-3. And also this is that even with the shorter players against the taller players, it's no battle between height.
Good float. It's a rough pass to the right side. This will be rolled. This will be set to the right side. And kill by Riley.
Right there, looks like that was number 13, Henry Kane, as he accidentally shot the ball a little bit over to Mr. Coleman, and Michael Lefevre's out there.
Serving will be number 7, Austin Dreyer. Good hard float. So we set to the back row, off of the block. Point for St. X.
That was a good play right there by the freshman, Ben Ferris, and number 9, Trey Burns, as they find a way to get the ball to go out of Lakota East ends.
Serving will be number 15. It's a good float. And out on Drew Reisner. That was a point for St. X. It's worth noting that the only hard hitter left from that St. X team in 2024 is Joe Taggart. As you can see, we've already seen from his back row attacks that East is going to have to watch out for him.
Joe Taggart is almost about one of the St. X players that's almost number 1 for most of the categories right now.
It's a good top spin and a good pass. Out by Kendrick McCoon, point for St. X.
That's a giant thing we are seeing right now from Lakota East is they're actually overshooting out of the field. They're going beyond that line right there a bit too much. Saying they need to ease off.
Top spin and ace for St. X. That was off of number 4, Kendrick McCoon.
Right now, St. X might be on a really good day, or just Lakota East is not having it right now. They just need to get a little bit of motivation right there, and they could possibly just pull through.
Another top spin. Good pass by Burling off to the outside. And kill by Kendrick McCoon. Point for East.
East finally maintains the ball back after his 5-7, after St. X pulled on an astonishing three-pointer right there. And looks like Lakota East will get the ball.
Serving will be our libero, Carson Burley. Hard float. Off to the middle. And kill by number 15, Will Payton.
That was a good play right there by Will Payton right there, as he managed to make a short, small little tap into there, causing it to be, but gave it a lot of impact that where it lodged off the ball from Carson Burley.
And into the net by Joe Taggart. That is a point for East.
Joe Taggart is one of the seniors out there, which this team, also like our team, barely has any seniors. That they only have Taggart, McCarthy, Hausfield, Kane, Cruiser, Source, Adkins, and Fortman.
Off of the block. Point for St. X.
St. X is playing really well out there now. Lakota East can beat anybody, but if it's from the GCL division, then it becomes a challenge out there.
Hard float. So rough pass, ace for St. X.
Right now, what we're seeing from Lakota East is a little bit just of some bad miscommunication out there, as from number 5, Luke Source, is that his serving just makes it really unpredictable for Lakota East.
Another hard float. And through the hands of Austin Dreyer, point for St. X.
Right there was a really good example of going it from Luke Source all the way down there to number 7, Dreyer, is that Luke Source just has an unpredictable but yet amazing serve out there.
Hard float. Good pass. Off to Nathan Timmy. It's a bad set. And slammed down by Jude Callahan. Point for East.
Looks like Lakota East is now finding a little bit that maybe that Luke Source's serving abilities are not that predictable, but they can be somewhat predicted if aligned right.
Top spin from McCoon. Off of the net. Good pass. That's the outside. Good block by Nathan Timmy. Point for East.
Lakota East right now is slowly getting the ability to go back into what they are usually doing, is trying to get more points out of the sets.
Serving will be number 4, Kendrick McCoon. It's a good serve. And ace. Point for East.
If I had to point out something, that was an amazing play right there by Will Payton, almost running into the bleachers to serve the ball back to looks like number 6, Sam Suppinger.
Looks like this will be another top spin from McCoon. And out, point for St. X.
Right now, Lakota East is slowly getting a bit too cocky, but they're trying to maintain the middle ground out there. Right now, the St. X's best player probably is number 5, Luke Source, as he's probably like one of the best servers out there for St. X, besides who we have right now.
This will be another hard float. Good pass. And up from Timmy.
St. X will get that point right there. It'll be 9-13. Oh, looks like Mr. Coleman out there is not having it, as, and by the looks of it, that will be, we're trying to wait for an official calling, and it looks like it will be 9-12. It looks like St. X will get the point.
Another float. Good pass. Set to the outside. Slam by Austin Dreyer. Point for East.
That was an amazing play right there by Austin Dreyer. That was a clean slam right there. The crowd's getting out of it now. Dreyer's finally hyping up everybody.
Float from Nathan Timmy. That was a rough pass there. Off to the outside. Back up. Off to Dreyer again. Off of the net. This will be tipped over by Callahan. Point for St. X. It's 4 touches on East.
Okay, there we go. Looks like there was a a little bit of a call error right there. It was a forward touch right there. St. X will have the ball. It'll be 10-13.
Another top spin. Out, point for East.
Looks like with that small crowd out there, right next to the left barracks of Lakota East Gym, there is a small crowd out there distracting St. X, which that's amazing from our crowd.
Float from Callahan. Good pass. It's off the outside. Killed by Joe Taggart. Point for St. X.
That's the thing with St. X is that almost all of their players are breaking that 6-foot limit. Even some of the freshmen out there. Even the one freshman, Ben Ferris, has broken 6. All these players are really tall. That kind of gives them the upper advantage, but it can give them some disadvantages out there. But right now, East is down 11-14.
This will be another top spin. Saved by Burling. This will be tipped by Dreyer. Back over. And point for St. X. East couldn't keep it up.
That's the thing right there with St. X as well, is that they are being tall, though, does give that good defense, as they can just tip the ball right back over to Lakota East side.
This will be a top spin. And sent up by Dreyer. And into the stands. That'll be a point for St. X.
It was a little bit unfair right there for Jude Callahan as the ball kind of swerved out from Carson Burling, and it went straight into the stands up there.
This will be another topper. Into the net, point for East.
East is slowly getting that ground back. Right now, there might be a chance East does not win the first set, but I feel like East will finally have a good set afterwards after Mr. Coleman gives some form of a pep talk to him.
This will be a float from Dreyer. Good pass. Off to the right side. Kill. Point for St. X.
That was a little bit of a hesitation out there by number 7, Austin Dreyer, as he felt like it was going to be a little bit on out right there. It looks like St. X will get the ball back, and looks like we'll get a new serve. It will be Will Payton out there. Will Payton is one of the most astonishing players out there.
This will be off of McCoon. That'll be a point for St. X. Ace.
Lakota East is now finally feeling that miscommunication as they're almost 2/3 of the entirety of St. X's score. But there might be a chance that they can come back from this. We don't know.
This will be a hard float. Off to the right side. Kill by Riley Cooper. What's his name, right?
Looks like that was Will Payton right there who had a little bit of an error up there. The ball went down at the same time as his fist, creating that little pocket where the ball just got stuck. Lakota East will have the ball 13-8.
Serving will be our libero, Carson Burling. This will be a good float. Set to the back row. And off of the block. Another back row attack by Taggart. Sent back up. This will be rolled by McCoon. Another attack by Taggart. And got it off of Dreyer. Point for St. X.
That was an amazing play from St. X right there. As it looked like the ball was going to go out, someone, by the looks of it, was number 14, Joe Taggart. He immediately ran back there and sent the ball back to the normal mid-grounds up there. Right now, our crowd is going to go try and distract the serve.
Another float. That's to Timmy. Saved by Taggart. Off to the outside. Out. Point for East.
We do want to also mention, this never happened before, but there can be a small chance. We have seen this in the past, is that throwing the ball over the net will cause the other team to get a point for people who are new to volleyball.
Hard float. And off of the hands of Nathan Timmy. Point for East.
East needs to remember a little not to get that much cockiness out there, as there could be some altercations out there that would interfere.
Another float. This will be set to the back row. And just missed. That was in. Point for St. X.
Give a little good play right there by Baden Schmidt-Gosling. He made an attempt trying to get the ball back into the playing zones and the lines out there. Looks like we're having a little bit. Looks like it would be Luke Source serving for St. X. 15-20.
Another float off of Dreyer. Good pass. Off to McCoon. And kill by McCoon. Point for East.
Right now, as we predict up here, that this might be a really tight game. We might even go to possibly a 4th or 5th set due to how good these two teams are. St. X, as we mentioned, has been a 3-year #1 GCL champion, while Lakota East has also been a 5-year running GMC champion.
Good top spin from McCoon. Off to the middle. Kill for St. X.
A little bit of a miscommunicated error right there from Schmidt-Gosling and McCune. Ball looks like it would have been a little bit too hard to go out. That's what we want to say with the serving, is that you want to have a perfect serve out there. You don't want it to be too powerful where it goes out, but you don't want it to be too weak where it goes onto the net. And that's what St. X and Lakota East both have. They have that equilibrium.
Hard float. Pass by Burling. Slide by Nathan Timmy. Kill for East.
Just to let everybody know is that even if St. X wins this, Lakota East will play on May 4th at 6 p.m. for the home game against Walnut Hills. As that will be their final game of the season, and it will depict if they will be the state champions for the GMC.
That spin on it. And point for St. X. That was off of the hands of East.
Looks like St. Whoa, that looked like an out right there, but it looks like the referee out there just called it that St. X will hit the point, and it will be 17-22. From our view up here, we want to give a little bit of a commentary. Would you think that should be fair for giving St. X the point?
I think I saw just slight touch of the fingertips, but it was a hard call.
It could be anything at this point. The reffing is kind of a little bit bad up here because there should be no points for that one because it looked like it was between for both.
East needs a side out on this one. 2 points till St. X wins the set off of the block. Sent over by Dreyer. This will be a outside attack. Kill by Taggart. St. X is 1 off from winning the first set.
Probably during the set intermission, Mr. Coleman will probably give a little bit of a pep speech for his team to make them win the second set. Looks like the whole St. X crowd is getting in for this last point.
Another top spin. Good pass from Schmidt-Gosling. Sent back over. And St. X wins the first set, 25-17.
Jude Callahan actually had a little bit of a missed error as the ball went a little bit too off. And we'll be back after this break. We are back after a bit of a little bit of a heavy first set loss from Lakota East. Right now they're being talked into winning the next set. St. X played really good out there, especially from the players such as Ben Ferris, Luke Source, Joe Taggart, and Reese Housefield. They're probably one of the best players. They're probably that group of best players for St. X. Wouldn't you agree with that, Pierce?
Yeah, I would say so. Joe Taggart does have experience at the tournament level, winning the state title in 2024. I'd also like to point out that two of the players on our East team, Nathan Timmy and Austin Dreyer, I got to see them play my sophomore year, and I'd like to say that Austin Dreyer and Nathan Timmy have far surpassed the seniors from their freshman years at their playing positions.
Right now, we want to know if there will be a chance that we'll see another appearance from the legend number 12, Jack Doyle, as he made, from our last stream from Princeton, he made an appearance playing in the last set. And right now we also see Mr. Coleman giving a little bit of info about how to get the next set. And also, the thing I love about this team is that once the players know that something wrong has happened, such as the out happening that it allegedly becomes a touch on East right there, giving St. X a point, it gives that info that they can be somewhat of calm, contempt. They don't get mad at the ref. They're like, okay, we'll just deal on with it. And we'll start with the second set. East is down 1-7 the other. It looks like that is assistant coach Karen Hess talking to Jude Callahan right now. And we're going to see if Lakota East will pull out through the second set. Right now, it looks like St. X will be getting the ball first, and surprisingly, a new server came in. We will have Reese Housefield serving. Reese Housefield is one of the best players out there for St. X, as he's not listed for top 5 or anything, but I feel like he should.
Good top spin. Tipped over. This will be a back row attack by Taggart and a kill for St. X.
Looks like Carson Burling's getting a little bit tired out there, as he made an amazing pass right there from the serve of Reese Housefield, and also has dived in to try to save the point.
Another top spin. It's a rough pass. Off of the block. Pushed back up. This will be another back row attack by Taggart, and out. Point for East.
Right there, that was number 2 from St. X. That was Michael Fortman serving. Michael Fortman, that's his first time we've ever mentioned him. He probably will get a lot of playtime out here for this second set.
Top spin from McCune. It's a rough pass there. This will be a free ball. Set to the outside. Off of the block. It'll be tipped over. Off to Dreyer again. And slammed in off of the block of St. X. Point for East.
A little bit right there. I thought the second point would be casted a little bit earlier, and right there, that was a third point for East, if I'm right. I think they got rid of the overthrow.
This will be an attempt by Taggart. Kill for Taggart. Point for St. X.
St. X ties the play right now. It looks like number 13, Henry Kane, he will be playing. And not to mention, he looks like it's a fractured, possibly a sprained wrist out there.
Be a float and out. Point for East.
Looks like they'll sub Kane out for number 5, Luke Source. East is now back with the ball. East is playing it out. East has finally got that motivation back in. They're not playing rough, but they'll play fair out there.
Float for Timmy. Another attempt by Taggart that was rolled. This will be set to the middle. Off the block. St. X puts a roof on it and gets the point.
That was a little bit of a sped up version of a serve right there. Kind of startled Drew Reisner out there. Lakota East is now tied with St. X, 3-3.
Short top spin into the net, point for East.
a little bit of a pressure out there by number 15, Will Payton. Will Payton felt a little bit pressured out there. The ball actually went a bit too weak, and it hits inside the net. East will now be up 4-3, up by 1 point.
Thompson from Callahan. And in, point for East, ace by Callahan.
That was a little bit of a startlement right there from Callahan. That was a bit scary out there. That looked like it was dead on the line, but they counted it as in from one of the flags out there.
Another topspin from Callahan. Good pass. That's off to the outside. Jair puts it back up. Set to Reisner, just short. Point for St. X.
A little bit of pressure out there by Reisner. Looks like they'll move Reisner up more to the front. Callahan playing really well out there. Those two serves were immaculate out there. Not a lot of shavings to be left.
Good pass by Dreyer. That's off to Riley Cooper. And St. X will get a back row attack. Kill, point for St. X.
A little bit on the blame was the back out there. They really didn't move much out there.
St. X cuts the lead and takes the tie. Another topspin by Taggart. Off of Burling, ace for St. X.
A little bit of an unexpected dive out there by Burling. St. X will be up by 1 right now. St. X slowly getting the motivation. Let's see if Lakota East can get it back.
Another topspin. That's off of McCoon. Another ace for Taggart. Point for St. X.
East got a little bit too cocky out there. Now they're down by 2 points. It will be 5-7. St. X is up by 2 points.
Another topspin, and that is out of here. Point for East.
That we've never barely seen out there. And the score will be 6-7. East is down by 1 point. We've never seen that where the ball would shoot up near the senior banners. That's something new. And that looked like it was by number 14, Joe Taggart.
Good flip from Dreyer. This will be set to the outside and all through the hands of East. Point for St. X.
Looks like that was a little bit of a miscommunication by Riley Cooper and Jude Callahan, our only 2 sophomores out there.
Float from St. X's libero. That is a rough pass from Dreyer. This will be rolled over by McCoon. This will be tipped. Miscommunication there. And slam back in by St. X. That was a kill by number 13, Henry Kane.
Looks like that was a bit of miscommunication out there by Callahan, Burling, and Reisner. Our Lakota Eastwood crowd will try to distract the serve.
Another float up by Dreyer. Off to McCoon, rolls it in. This will be a back row attack. Outside attack, into the net, point for East.
Right there, I would say the audacity from our crowd trying to distract St. X's Luke Source out there. It looks like it's not working that much, but once it goes to people such as Peyton and Hausfield and possibly Kane, then it would work. Luke Source has that ability to keep himself contempt and ignore.
And that is an out. Point for St. X.
Carson Burling accidentally went a little bit off-angled. St. X is up by 3 points. It will be 7-10.
This will be a hard float. Set to the middle of the block. St. X wasn't watching for it. That was a kill by Nathan Timmy.
Also, a bit of miscommunication from there by number 4, Ben Ferris, the freshman for St. X.
Serving will be number 2, Schmidt Gosling. Hard float. Short pass, back over, kill by St. X. That was number 1, Ben Adkins.
There looks like St. X is a little bit going on, making the real phrase, pick on someone your own size, as we have 3 people up there who are beating the 6-foot mark, going out for the freshman, little man, Baden Schmidt-Gosling, our GOAT.
Another top spin. High pass from Dreyer. That's to McCoon. Tips it back over. This will be an outside attack. Dreyer gets it up. Rolled over by Burling. This will be another kill by Joe Taggart. That is a point for St. X.
Right now, it looks like they're having too much people up close to the net as many people that are back up on the net. Because the only backman out there I saw was Baden Schmidt-Gosling.
And that is out, point for East.
Looks like the ball will go into the catacombs of the left side of our gym. It looks like it'll be spit out by, well, nothing. And it looks like we have number 4, Kendrick McCune, serving. Kendrick McCune, being a senior, he probably will have to do a little bit better out there for college.
And ace for Kendrick McCune.
And I mark my word right there. But right now, Lakota East right now for the GMC is just a solid team. And possibly, they would probably possibly make top 3 if they were in the GCL.
Top spin from McCoon. And that is back over. Slam down. That is put in by the setter, Jude Callahan.
East finally gets their motivation and is slowly evolving back up to that lead, as we've seen in previous matches.
Another top spin from McCoon. Will go light on this one. Too light almost. That is out. Point for St. X.
Looks like that was a little bit too much from McCune. And St. X will now be up by 2 points, 11-13. This will be a tight match right here. We can possibly go as long. This will probably be closer to the matches that were against Elder and Moeller, where there was only about 1 or 2 sets that were won by Lakota East.
Another top spin off of Schmidt-Gosling. That's the Dreyer. Slammed in. Killed by Dreyer. Point for East.
The main goal out there for Lakota East right now is just to have perfect communication and not have anybody not know what they're doing, because then that will lead to a lot of mishaps happening.
Be a float from Timmy. Bad pass. That's to the right side. St. X trying to get it up. Sends a free ball over. That's the Dreyer. Gets in again. Point for East.
Looks like on the right side of our gym, looks like the ball went to the right side of the catacombs, and it accidentally got spewed out.
East cuts the lead and ties it.
East slowly knows what they're doing, keeping Timmy as their server.
Good pass by St. X. Saved by Timmy. That's a back row free ball. This will be to the outside. Kill by Taggart.
Right now, keeping Timmy out there, but sadly putting him back in. Timmy was probably in that period right there, Timmy was probably the best server Lakota East had right there. And he probably played the best for the backline as well.
Another short top spin, shanked up. Looks like this will be rolled over by Dreyer. Set to the outside, off of the block. Point for St. X.
That was a good play right there between Burling and Schmidt-Gosling. After seeing that the pass went too far back, they ran and immediately saved it.
Another top spin, that is in. Point for St. X.
A little bit weird out there for our players, thinking that it was going to be an out, but it was a little bit close by a hair.
Short top spin. Good pass from Burling. Sent out by Dreyer. Point for St. X.
Right now, there's a little bit of some errored calls out there, but with Lakota East, there's barely any arguing between the referee and the players, and possibly even the coach. Oh, it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a timeout from Mr. Coleman, and we will be going to a break. And we come back to you live from Lakota East as it is 13-17 in the second set. St. X will lead against Lakota East. Some of these calls out here can be very debatable between the coaches and the refs, but we believe Lakota East might have an ability to go back into the lead. What do you think about that, Pierce?
I think that East just has to watch out for number 14, Joe Taggart. Those blockers aren't watching on that outside.
I agree with that. And plus with our back line as well, needed focusing more on.
And shanked by McCoon, point for St. X.
Looks like it's just our players kind of being a bit too cocky out there, knowing that even if they lose this won't matter for winning the GMC because this is a GMC versus a GCL team.
Short top spin. Good pass from Burling. Kuhn puts it back up. Off to Dreyer. Off of the block. Schmidt-Gosling saves it. And out. Point for St. X.
That was a good attempt right there by Callahan. A little bit out up there. If it got in, that would probably be one of the best plays we've ever seen for Lakota East right now. But as we were saying, Lakota East really doesn't care about this whole winning against St. X and Walnut Hills, as these two teams are not in the GMC, and this will declare that Lakota East is the GMC champions for boys volleyball once again.
Top spin from Callahan. Get to the middle, off of the block. That is out. Point for St. X.
Looks like Lakota East is losing their mojo out there, as their margin between points right now is getting a bit too wide out there, as it is a 6-point difference. St. X is now showing them that not to be that cocky. They have confidence, while Lakota East right now is just a bit cocky.
Good pass from Burling and put back down by number 1, Ben Adkins.
That was a good example from Adkins out there. There's a difference between confidence and cockiness. Cockiness, just you love to speak out of your winnings, while if you are, confident, you just know that,
And good kill from Austin Dreyer off of the right side. East regains possession of the ball, and serving will be number 7, Austin Dreyer.
And with confidence as well, the difference is when you're confident, you know you're winning, but you don't speak it out loud.
This will be a float from Dreyer. Set to the right side, little off on that set. Slam back down by number 3, Gunnar Peterson.
Oh, wait a minute. Looks like we're having a little official call. Looks like Carson Burling is mad out there. It looks like they were saying that was an out there. We're going to have an official calling in a second right now. And from a disappointed call from Carson Burling, looks like that possibly was a St. X point.
Hard float. Good pass from McCoon off to the right side. Back row attack by Taggart. That is off of the block. Point for St. X.
Halfway through the second set right now, Lakota East is not looking too good out there. St. X just needs those 2 points left to win, and they would need to win the final set. Lakota East is not having that much fun out there, specifically Carson Burling. Disturbed and stressed is just about the referee calls.
Tipped over by Reisner. Right side attack. That is another point for St. X. St. X needs 1 to win the set.
Looks like that Lakota East is not really focusing a lot about their back line, focusing more a lot about the front line.
It's a good float up on Burling. This will be rolled over by McCoon. Back row attack by Taggart. That is out. Point for East.
Carson Burling was a little bit distressed by that call right there, saying it was an out, but the refs made the official of calling it an in and giving St. X their point.
And into the net by Burling. St. X wins the second set. And we will be taking a short break here.
we bring you back to right now what we think will be the final set for Lakota East against St. X. Mr. Coleman out there is prepping up Lakota East as they had some pretty hard challenges out there. They have hard challenges in the past. This one's probably going to be one of their hardest, as St. X is being really, really tough on them. But we're also thinking that next year, if Lakota East does go against St. X again, there might be a chance St. X will have a struggle because they will be losing all their best players, even including the legend Joe Taggart from St. X, because they're all seniors. And next year, those juniors they have, such as Gunnar Peterson, Sam Suppinger, Matthew Herbal, Trey Burns, Leo Miller, and Will Payton, all of them will become the seniors for next year. This team is one of those teams that do have a lot of seniors. They are one of those teams, unlike Lakota East, which they only have 3 seniors, who are Carson Burling, Jack Doyle, and Kendrick McCune. Looks like Carson Burling will be coming back in, switching out for Drew Reisner. And the ball will go to Lakota East.
Serving will be number 4, Kendrick McCune. Top spin. That is shanked out. Sent back over off of Burling. Almost got it by Schmidt-Gosling. That is a point for St. X.
One thing right there I will probably point out is that Carson Burling, if he didn't make that move right there, that ball would have possibly been out and give Lakota East the first point for this set.
Top spin. Off of Schmidt-Gosling. Tip back over. Callahan trying to put it back in. Sent back over. And Callahan dumps it into the net. Point for St. X.
Looks like there's a little bit of just trial and error out there, and most of the error from Lakota East is just from trying to speed things up, or it's just a little bit of lack out of there. Looks like the crowd out there for Lakota East near the left barracks is not trying anymore.
Good pass from Schmidt-Gosling. Austin Dreyer puts it in. Kill for East.
Reisner will come back in, and then Timmy will serve. East finally got their first point, 1-2.
First flow from Timmy. Off to the right side. That is out. Point for East.
Lakota East finally getting some groove. And looks like McCune goes back into the bench, and they will put out Nathan Timmy to serve. Lakota East now breaks the tie.
Another flip from Timmy. To be set to Taggart. Point for East. Taggart gets it into the poles.
Looks like they broke one of the lines out there. And thanks to number 13, Henry Kane, for fixing it. Right now, they're debating against if it was a point or not, because from the scoreboards up here, it is 3-2. Looks like they're trying to fix it right now, as it is a little bit crooked out there. But based off the officials' call, they were saying that was an out on St. X right there. Lakota East will huddle up and talk about their next play to get ready and try to beat this first set. If they can beat at least one set, that will be completely fine, because they don't want to have a first match where it is a complete wipeout for them, 0-3. And that would be a lot better. Getting 1-3 would be a lot better instead of getting 0-3. At least if they get 1 or 2 sets in, then that would be completely fine with our standards. They're fixing the net still. We'll take a little bit of a timeout. They'll be taking a little bit of a small little break. Looks like the crowd out there is kicking their feet and just waiting like it's their own paradise. was a good attempt from Henry Kane to fix the problem. And now it looks like we got Will Payton also in there trying to fix it too. And it looks like they did fix it. Looks like Payton's out there screwing it in. And it should be sturdy up there. And that'll be a thanks from number 4, Ben Ferris, and to number 13, Henry Kane. Thank you both for fixing our net. We love our opponents out here still. And looks like we're having a little bit of a debacle again between St. X and Lakota East. Right now they're possibly just going to give the point to St. X for no reason by the looks of it. Looks like when he's calling one of the flagsmen, it looks like they'll be kicking their feet out again. Looks like we're gonna have a little bit of it. Looks like two of our fans out there are having a little of a kick and watch out there. A little bit of a kick and watch. We're gonna have a little bit of vacation time out there while we wait for the official calling. Right now it's between if St. X gets the point or Lakota East gets the point to break the tie. Either way, it will be 3-2 somehow.
It's worth noting that the reason the post came down is because Taggart put the ball into it.
And looks like they gave Lakota East the point right there. It will be 3-2 after that pretty long break right there. Oh, it looks like we're out there again. It looks like Taggart will be sent to the back now. And we will start back up again.
Timmy sends it over. Speed to Taggart. Shanked by Burling. That is a point for St. X.
Right now, if that was no shank, that could have possibly been an out right there. And Lakota East would be up by 2 points. But it will be tie now, 3-3. And we will see who will break this tie.
Hard float. That is out. Point for East.
East break the tie. Now it looks like they're getting that official, like, no cockiness, but they're getting some mojo out there. They're getting into their groove, and it looks like it'll be 4-3.
Topstone from Callahan. So we from the middle. Point for St. X.
Looks like now we'll have another tie. It will be 4-4. St. X will be serving for this play right here by number 15, Will Payton, who is also one of the only juniors for St. X that will become our senior next year.
A good top spin. That was back over off of Dreyer. That is a point for St. X.
St. X will be up 4-5. It looks like they'll just keep Payton going out there.
Hard float. This will be to Riley Cooper and kill for Riley Cooper. Point for East. Serving will be number 7, Austin Dreyer.
Now we're back onto that tie era. 5-5. We will see who will break the tie first.
Hard float from Dreyer. Rough pass there. Off to Taggart, dumps it over. To be rolled over from McCoon. St. X keeps it up. Off to the outside. And that is off of Jude Callahan. Point for St. X.
St. X is finding a little bit of a mojo out there now. Lakota East is getting a bit too cocky. Right now, it will be number 14, the legend for St. X, Joe Taggart out there, who is almost number 1 for most of the categories on the GCL website.
This will be for McCoon, off of the block. That is a point for St. X.
A little bit of an error right there from McCoon, thinking that it will go through, but it accidentally hit the net down, giving St. X the 7th point of the game.
Top spin. Rough pass from McCoon. This will be a free ball. This will be sent to the outside. And point for East, that hit the post.
Looks like that hit the post, but also, not to mention that it also went right between Jude Callahan's legs out there. And serving will be our libero, our favorite, the Mount St. Joseph University, Carson Burling.
Be a good pass. Off to the back row and out. Point for East.
Lakota East slowly going back to getting in the tie. That was a powerful hit right there from St. X. And they'll keep Carson on there. Carson Burling will now be on a run.
Hard float from Burling. Good pass. This will be the right side. And that is in. Point for St. X.
Big pattern we've been seeing is that every time that there's a tie noticeably in demand, that St. X will be the one to always break that tie somehow, most of the time.
Hard float. Good pass from McCoon. Off to the right side. Kill by Riley Cooper.
Right there, I wanted to point out Joe Taggart, he immediately knew right there that it was a little bit of a missed call on him as the ball rolled on top of the palm of his hand and it accidentally went into the barracks back there.
Good float. This will be the outside. Tipped over. Free ball from East. Speed to the middle. Kill by number 13, Henry Kane.
That was a good play out there from Schmidt, Gosling, and Callahan as Carson Burling trying to make that attempt right there, but they saved it for him. The 8-9, St. X is in the lead.
Hard float. So rough set. Rolled over from Timmy. This will be off of number 1, Ben Adkins.
Look at
Point
shot
for St. X.
Looked like a shot all the way down to number 2, Schmidt Gosling. And it looks like he'll be serving number 11, Leo Miller.
Hard float. Good pass by Dreyer. And St. X puts a roof on it. Point for St. X, putting the lead to 3.
Right there, St. X. Those tall dudes out there, they're the perfect reason why St. X is like one of the best defense lines out there.
And tapped in by Timmy. Point for East.
Mark my words again, St. X probably, they have the best people for the defense. They just need to have it on that right time right there. And Lakota East will be, Lakota East will still be down 9-11.
Be a good serve from McCoon. That's off to the right side. They keep it up. And Dreyer gets it in. Point for East.
Lakota East is now slowly going back. It is now 10-11. Lakota East still down by that 1 point right there. And they will keep Kendrick McCune on a run.
Good serve from McCoon. Off to the middle. Point for St. X that just got over.
St. X being the winner for the GCL division for 3 years slowly might have come to an end because based off our research as well that we have found out that it is Elder who is now also in the lead for the GCL.
Hard float off of Schmidt Gosling. Ace for St. X.
St. X is now up by 3 points. It will be 10-13. They win this final set right here. It will be a clean wipeout with St. X.
Another good top spin. That's off to Dreyer. Puts it in. This will be to Taggart. Off of the block. That's sent to Timmy. That is in. Point for East.
Right now, it looks like East has got a little bit. There's no shame on East. This is a really tough team to go against. St. X has been an amazing team for the Greater Catholic League division. And so is Lakota East for the GMC division as well.
Good float from Timmy. It's off to the middle. Just slightly tapped in and off of the block of Reisner.
It'll be 11-14. Lakota East is still down by 3 points. They're making all the possible changes they can make to have the perfect game right here, to have the perfect set right here. And right now it will be, based on looks, it looks to be number 2,
Good top
Michael
spin.
Fortman.
Good pass by Timmy off to Dreyer. Puts it in. Kill for Austin Dreyer. Point for East.
Looks like we're going back and forth with play right now. One little flashback play right here is from number 3, Gunnar Peterson. The overhand toss that he gave to Lakota East should have still been a point for Lakota East, as it has been ruled that any overhand toss over the net is known.
Out. Point for St. X.
It is known that any overhand toss from the server to another server will be considered a point for the opposing team. But I guess they didn't consider that point. But it looks like we'll give St. X the ball, as it will be 15-12. St. X will be up by 3 points right now. Lakota East is down in the trenches right now. It will be 2-0 for sets.
And out. Point for East.
Looks like St. X is now getting a little bit too cocky out there, as they're getting a little sluggish. They're throwing the ball a little bit way too past standards.
Hard float from Dreyer. Good pass. It's off to the outside. It's off to McCoon. Puts it in. Kill for McCoon. Point for East.
He's slowly getting back up there. Looks like now we have 3 people kicking their feet out there and watching the game. It will be 14-15. Lakota East still down by that 1 point right there. But that 1 point margin is their enemy.
Oh, into the net by Dreyer. Point for St. X.
Best servers out there from the entirety of the season for the guys' volleyball team for Lakota East. Probably will have to go to between Jude Callahan and possibly Jude Callahan and even possibly Baden Schmidt-Gosling.
And Riley sends it back over. Back row attack. Nope, dumped by Taggart. Point for St. X.
Right now, that was a little bit of a juke right there from number 15, Will Payne, as he tried to make it look like that the impact would be a lot harder, but he gives it a little bit softer to troll with Lakota East.
Good top spin. Ace for St. X.
Right now at this point, it looks like the crowd over there yelling the whoa at the server. Looks like that's affecting more of Lakota East than it's affecting St. X. Because every time they do it, St. X will serve perfectly, and then Lakota East will mess up their serve.
Another top spin from Taggart. That is out. Point for East.
The ball will go into the crowds right now, bouncing in the bleachers. Lakota East will still be down by 3 points, 15-18. Right now, St. X needs 7 points left. Actually, we need 9 points left to win the final set. It will be best of 3 right now.
Hard foot from Burling. This will be rolled over. Set to McCoon. Puts it off the block. St. X to the right side. Off of the block. Puts it back up. Free ball. This will be a little off. Off to the right side. Saved by Dreyer, but that is out. Point for St. X.
Right now, as we see with Lakota East and St. X knows when they're going to have the 4 hits in, or when they can possibly have 4 hits. So they will dim down on the hitting, and it will possibly get to 3. Lakota East is now down by 4 points, 15-19.
Hard float. Good pass from McCoon. That's a back row attack by Dreyer. And kill by Austin Dreyer. Point for East.
Amazing play right there by number 7, Dreyer. Getting Lakota East 16-19. Still down by 3 points. And then we have the GOAT, Baden Schmidt-Gosling, our only freshman, serving for Lakota East.
Good float. That's set to the outside. And kill by number 1, Ben Adkins.
Right now, we only have, by the looks of it, they put Baden Schmidt-Gosling as a defensive specialist. They were usually the back row, which seems very odd because the better placement would put you Callahan back here, put your taller people in the back.
Off to Timmy. That is out. Point for St. X.
St. X right now up by 5 points, 21-16. Lakota East is not having it right now because this will be their first match, probably for the season, that it will be a clean sweep from St. X.
Off to McCoon. That is shanked. Point for East.
The good thing about Lakota East is that even if they lost, they will lose pretty close to getting a win. They won't be like other teams where you will have a really large score to just a tiny puny score.
Top spin from McCoon. Good pass. That's off to the back row. Killed by Joe Taggart.
That was an amazing play from Taggart out there. An amazing juke right there as Taggart slammed the ball right near Dreyer and Timmy out there. Serving will be to number 12, Reese Hausfield.
And rolled over the net. Speed of Dreyer off the block. Point for St. X.
St. X is playing impeccable out there. They are known for being the GCL division winners for boys volleyball. So it is reasonable that Lakota East is playing against a champion out there.
And kill for Austin Dreyer.
Looks like they'll put Reisner out there and take Carson back in. And we will have Nathan Timmy playing for the serve.
Hard float. So we set to the right side. Kill for number 4, Ben Ferris.
St. X is playing amazing out there right now. This will be the first time in Lakota East for this year that they will lose from a clean sweep. It will be a 0-3 set. And right now,
good pass from Schmidt-Gosling off of the block. Schmidt-Gosling gives it to Dreyer. That is out. Oh, looks like that was off of the tip. East gets the point.
Yeah, looks like that was a little bit off the tip from the official standings.
Serving will be number 5, Jude Callahan.
This right here will depend if St. X will win or not. If Jude Callahan throws spikes in and it goes out, then that will mean St. X will win this match with a clean sweep.
And good serve off of the block. Timmy puts it back up. It's off to Dreyer and slammed back in by St. X. St. X wins 3-0.
That was an amazing game right there. As we are usually the opposing team, St. X played amazing out there today. That was probably one of their best games we've ever seen, especially that this was Lakota East's first time having a clean sweep 0-3. Probably the best players out there for St. X was between Ben Adkins, Henry Kane, Luke Source, and Will Payton and Joe Taggart. They were probably those best players. Our best players out there was between Austin Dreyer, Jude Callahan, Burling, Schmidt-Gosling, and Timmy out there. Lakota East, their record right now will be 18-3, as they have one more match to go on May 4th, 2026. It will be their last home game and the last game of the season against Walnut Hills. We like to thank Butler Tech for giving Lakota East and all of us this special equipment that we could use. I would love to thank my crew up here. I would love to thank Joel Edwards, Gracie Porter, Isabel Kroger, Trey Deers, Caden S., and my commentating buddy, Pierce S. Now I'm Alex Kroger, and at East, we say, go Hawks.